Hi everyone, it's me Blake, and today I want to do something a little bit different here on booktube. I noticed that there aren't an incredible amount of comic book reviews here in the community. One reason I could imagine is that it's called booktube, so most people want to concentrate on the literature and the prose and the traditional novels and books and stuff like that. But I figured, you know what, I read a lot of comic books, and comic books are just as a legitimate form of literature as traditional novels are. So I decided I'm going to review a comic book. In fact, I'm going to review the last comic book I read, which is The Walking Dead Volume 29, The Lines We Cross by Robert Kirkman. Most people know The Walking Dead for the television series. It's also spawned another, I think, 2 television series at this point, video games and like board games and like novels and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a very large franchise, but I personally love the comic book more than any of that other stuff. It's the original form of the story, and Robert Kirkman is one of the best writers in comic books right now. By the way, spoilers for any past volumes, I will try my best to keep them at a minimum, but if you haven't read this series and you don't want to know anything, just don't watch this review, because I'm going to be mentioning the past couple of arcs and major storylines from the Walking Dead series. So I actually don't have a physical copy of the book on me right now because I read it all digitally through my library's like digital app they have, which was really cool. So unfortunately I don't have the actual book with me, but I think you guys can bear with me on that. So the book picks up where Volume 28 ends, obviously, and Rick and his group of survivors are rebuilding society after the big war with the Whisperers. The main thrust of the plot is Eugene in the radio, people questioning Rick's leadership, and the Negan's redemption arc. Eugene has his radio that he's been talking on for quite a couple of arcs now. I think maybe the last 2 he's been talking on this radio, at least for the last couple of volumes. And Rick finally finds out about this and decides to send some people to go and investigate this, whoever is on this radio and what's going on with them. And I find this really interesting because I don't think Robert Kirkman really knew what he wanted to do with the radio in the original arc. I think he would have set up more for it and put more clues in the original arc as to what he's doing with the radio in this arc. I think he put that in there as a, okay, whatever, I'll resolve this later, but I'll keep this in here just so it adds an interesting element and so I can come back to it later on, which I really love. I've heard that Robert Kirkman doesn't plan too far in advance in the stuff he does. He kind of works on a rough idea, but he really kind of just goes where the story leads him, which I love. But at times that can cause the story to become a bit repetitive. One thing with the Walking Dead series is, you know, there's this pattern of there's a big battle, they rebuild society, they meet the new group of people, they get ready for war, they go to war, and then they rebuild society. And it's that constant kind of cycle of stuff, which I don't mind because I think Robert Kirkman has enough character drama and stuff going on between the big action sequences and the big wars that you don't really care. In fact, I read this stuff more for the character stuff than I do for anything else, because the characters and their drama with one another is fascinating, and they're so well defined and so well written. Speaking of really cool characters, we actually get the introduction of a new team member to the group. One of the people that they meet in this volume her name is Juanita Martinez, and she comes from Pittsburgh. I probably slaughtered her name, but I'm not Hispanic enough to pronounce that accurately. It's characters like her that make me wish the series was in color, because she describes herself as having like dyed hair. She has this cool jacket and this giant military machine gun and this spear she carries around and fights stuff with, and she's awesome. And I'm glad the comic book series is in black and white, but she's such a visually interesting character that I really want to see what she would look like in color. And she has this cool dynamic with Michonne that Michonne is stoic and serious most of the time, and she doesn't trust a lot of people, let alone new people that they don't know. And Juanita, she's very, she loves people. She wants to talk and talk and talk and just tell them everything, because according to her, she hasn't seen anyone in over a year or so. I find that really interesting. The other plot point is Rick's leadership being questioned by some members. This always happens, like in every arc. Somebody's like, I don't know if Rick should be the leader anymore. And then Rick's like, I'm the leader, god dang it. And they're like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, I'm the leader. And they're like, I don't know. And it's always that pattern of stuff. It's a little repetitive, because I think at this point people should just recognize, yeah, Rick is probably the best person for this job. He's been doing this the longest. He kind of knows what's what. But at the same time, I can still understand that there will always be this constant power struggle within this community, especially in this kind of society. The one I was most interested in reading in this comic book was the Negan side plot. Negan has been the villain, was the villain in the last, not the last arc, but the arc before that for the Negan All-Out War saga, and he has evolved in such a fascinating and interesting way as a character. He went from a villain to kind of a anti-villain to kind of an anti-hero to now a restored hero. It's interesting because I don't forgive Negan for any of the stuff he does, but I do genuinely believe his character has changed and he has evolved and he has a new outlook, and I didn't think that was possible with some of the stuff Negan did and some of the awful atrocities. Atrocities. If I was a better booktuber, I'd cut that out, but I'm not because this is my channel and I keep it real. I keep it real on this channel. He's fascinating to read because I don't like him, but he's so charismatic and he's so charming in a messed up way. Like, I can understand how he got to this point in his life. I read the Negan prequel comic series they did, and I thought it was okay. I thought it's fine. It's nothing that I wouldn't have just suspected by myself, but I do get, like, without that, even without that, I can understand how Negan got to the point in his life where he was the leader of such a large group and controlling such a large area of land. He's so great because he has this ability to turn his vulgar, awful speech and his use of foul language into almost poetry. It's so weird. There's so much charisma and oomph to everything he does. I actually wrote down one of my favorite quotes from him. He's just full of, like, great quotes. I'm actually going to read one of his quotes. It contains a lot of foul language, so prepare for that. He's tending to some garden he has, and this is what he tells the plants. I know it's a weird situation, but just roll with me, man. Listen here, sunflowers. You are fucking gorgeous. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Least of all, this stupid motherfucking grass. Grass don't know shit. Fuck you, grass. I don't know why I find that so funny. I have no idea. But the sentence, grass don't know shit. Fuck you, grass. That's funny to me for some reason because of just the absurdity of it, I guess. And that's one thing I always love about the Walking Dead series in general. Although it's very serious and it's in black and white and it's grim and it's an apocalypse setting, there is levity to it. There is emotion. There is positivity. There is hope. There's these moments of lightness and people smile and crack jokes. And it never feels like the tone is shifting. It just feels like people are acting how people do. Even in the worst of circumstances, people want to smile and laugh and have fun and tell each other things that will make the other person smile, and that's what puts this apart from, like, the TV show, which I don't want to compare it too much to that, but there's lots of TV shows I see and lots of books where if it's a grim setting, everyone's grim and serious and no one ever tells jokes because this is serious. That's not how people act. People act like people no matter the circumstance. People might stop cracking jokes if they're in the middle of a war zone or something like that, but people will always have this sense of levity to them because there are people who have emotions and they experience those no matter what the circumstance is. Overall, it's an okay volume, I thought. There wasn't a huge amount of setup, but I think it was just a chance for Robert Kirkman to give his characters some drama, some stuff to talk about, sit down, set some things up, set up some character dynamics, introduce some new things so he can pay off them in the next couple of volumes or so. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, you know what to do. If there's any comic books, if you want to talk about The Walking Dead in the comics, please let me know. I'm a huge fan of the comics, so I'd love to talk about it. I don't know too much about the TV show. I stopped watching it years and years ago, so I can't really comment on it too much beyond, like, season 4 or 5, I think, so sorry about that if you're a fan of the TV series. Yeah, if there's any comic books you want recommended, or if there's something you want to talk about comics, or there's a comic book review you've done, I would love to watch it, because I want to do this kind of regularly here on the channel, because I feel like comic books just need a little bit more love than they get. Not that people don't like them, it's just that I want to talk about them, and it's my channel, so I'm going to do what I want on my channel. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.